Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session. So I hope all of you are doing great and preparing really well for your upcoming MPPSC exam. Right. So we are back with a new session today and with some more revision, with some more questions. All right. So let me start by sharing my screen with you all. Right. I believe you can see the screen. Yeah, it's visible. Right. So welcome again to our MPPSC revision session number 9. So good evening, and welcome again. And now let's move on to the first question for tonight, shall we? Yes. Oh, yes, we are live. Welcome and good evening. Yeah, I have opened the chat as well in case you guys say something that I need to see. Okay. So let's move on to the first question for tonight then. Here is the first question for tonight. In Alfred Lord Tennyson's Ulysses, the iconic line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, is a structural parallel or a direct allusion to which of the following lines or authors? So in Tennyson's Ulysses, this line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield, it's a reference to which following line or which quote or which author? What is it? Tell me. This line has a similarity with what? To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. It has a similarity with Satan's never to submit or yield in Milton's Paradise Lost. All right, it has a very structural parallel, or it has a very great resemblance with Satan's words, never to submit or yield in Milton's Paradise Lost. That indomitable spirit of never giving up, never to submit to anyone, not to give up no matter what. All right, that indomitable will, that indomitable spirit. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Juhi. All right. So now let's move on to the next question. Matthew Arnold's Culture and Anarchy. It's a major work of criticism. It's a major work on the idea of culture in 19th century, right? So Matthew Arnold's Culture and Anarchy. It critiques the cultural fragmentation of Victorian society. Which terms are used by Matthew Arnold famously to categorize the social classes of the contemporary Victorian England? To categorize the social classes of contemporary Victorian England. Which terms are used by Arnold here? Right, he uses the terms barbarians, Philistines, and populace. Barbarians, Philistines, and populace. Matthew Arnold's Culture and Anarchy is a major text. If you haven't looked it up as of yet, please do. Just look up the summary once. That would be enough. All right. Okay. Next. In book 3 of Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, in book 3, we have the voyage to Laputa. So in book 3 of Voyage to Laputa, the city of Lindolino successfully rebels against this flying island of Laputa, right? Which historical city did Lindolino represent in Swift's political allegory? As you all know, that Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, published in 1726, it's a major political allegory and a work of satire. Right. So here Linda Nilo represents what? It represents Dublin, right? In Jonathan Swift's political allegory, Gulliver's Travels, published in 1726, the city of Lindalino, it represents Dublin, because we know that Swift was an Irish author. Swift was from Ireland. So Dublin is a city within Ireland, right? So here Lindalino represents Dublin. And here the city's successful rebellion against the flying island of Laputa, which demanded unreasonable taxes and controlled the populace from above, it mirrors Ireland's resistance against British imperial impositions, specifically the controversy surrounding William Wood's low-quality copper currency. Clear? So here the rebellion of the city of Lindalino against the flying island of Laputa, it actually mirrors Ireland's resistance against British imperial impositions. Clear? Right? Okay. Yeah. It represents or it mirrors Ireland's resistance against the British imperial impositions. All right. Yeah. Next. When Gulliver returns home to England in Book 4, his behavior toward his family and society becomes profoundly misanthropic. What does he refuse to allow his wife and children to do? We all know that after coming in contact with the Houyhnhnms, the rational horses, he was enamored, or he was, intrigued and fascinated by these horses called Houyhnhnms, by their reason, by their intellect, by their lifestyle. And he was disgusted with the Yahoos who represent the mankind here. So after coming back to his home as well, he was in love with the Houyhnhnms and did not like men really, right? What does he refuse to allow his wife and children to do? He refused them to touch his bread or drink out of his cup. So he did not allow his family members to touch his bread or drink out of his cup, because now he sees them as very brute yahoos. Right. Okay. Next. While recognizing Chaucer's monumental contribution to English literature, why does Matthew Arnold refuse to place Chaucer alongside the supreme classics in the critical essay, The Study of Poetry? Very important. Why does Matthew Arnold refuse to place Chaucer alongside the supreme classics in his critical essay, The Study of Poetry? Very good. Because Chaucer lacked a deeply serious and profound substance, what Arnold terms the liquid diction, but not the fluid movement of high seriousness. He very clearly states that Chaucer lacks high seriousness. Right, yes, option B is correct. Next. Which Elizabethan dramatist's lines does Matthew Arnold use as a touchstone to evoke supreme tragic intensity, specifically with the lines, "Absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain"? In the essay, The Study of Poetry, Matthew Arnold talks about the idea of touchstones. So he considers one of the Elizabethan dramatists as a touchstone. Who is it? And or if you can identify the source of this quote, you can also answer. It is Shakespeare. Because according to Matthew Arnold, Homer, Dante, Milton, and Shakespeare are the touchstones. Homer, Dante, Shakespeare, and Milton are the touchstones according to Matthew Arnold. So he uses Shakespeare's lines as a touchstone to evoke supreme tragic intensity. And these are lines from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world, draw thy breath in pain. These are lines from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Next. So as you all know that we have already started offering mentorship programs to our students who are coming to us. So even if it maths or any English exam, any exam or anything, feel free to come to us, where we will allot you a dedicated mentor. And you will be doing classes with your mentor, 1:1, flexible timings, both online and offline options are available, right? So any exam, anything you have, you can come to us for 1:1 mentorship. All right, great. Let's move on to the next question. And why so few likes? Please like the session, everyone. Okay. To which specific medieval philosophy does the line, whatever dies was not mixed equally, allude in the poem The Good Morrow by John Donne? So here you have a question from John Donne's poem The Good Morrow. So this line, whatever dies, was not mixed equally. It refers to which specific medieval philosophy? Tell me. It refers to scholasticism of St. Thomas Aquinas. Scholasticism of St. Thomas Aquinas. Right. This line, whatever dies was not mixed equally, it stems from scholastic philosophy and medieval theories of nature, deeply influenced by Aristotle and formalized by St. Thomas Aquinas. So this medieval concept of scholasticism, it believed that all earthly physical bodies are mixtures of the four elements or humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. And it was believed that if a thing was made of uneven or unequal proportions, the elements would war against each other, leading to imbalance, decay, and eventually physical death. So in this poem, The Good Morrow, John Donne uses this scholastic idea to argue that because his and his lovers' souls and loves are so perfectly balanced and identical, there is no imbalance or inequality within their relationship. Therefore, their love is immune to decay and death. Okay? So this idea has been borrowed from scholasticism of St. Thomas Aquinas. Clear by now? Yes? Okay. No one answered. Why? Anyways, let's move on to the next question. Which biblical or historical legend is referenced in the phrase, the seven sleepers' den, in the poem The Good Morrow by John Donne? Which biblical or historical legend has been alluded to in the phrase, the seven sleepers' den, in the poem The Good Morrow by John Donne. What does this phrase allude to in the poem The Good Morrow by John Donne? The Seven Sleepers' Den. Very good. It refers to the Christian youths who slept in a cave for nearly 200 years to escape Roman persecution. Very good. Very good. Right. What is Henry David Thoreau's primary ethical distinction regarding the relationship between a citizen and unjust laws in his work, Civil Disobedience? What does Henry David Thoreau say? Yes, he says that one must not participate in injustice, but has no obligation to make it a primary life mission. Very good. Correct. Next, how does Thoreau view the American government, famously calling it a tradition trying to transmit itself unimpaired? What do you mean by this? He calls American government as what? As a machine used by the ruling class, which citizens should not let themselves be agents of. Right. So in Civil Disobedience, Henry David Thoreau views the American government as an inherently corrupt and inefficient machine. He argues that a few individuals manipulate the standing government as a tool to execute unjust policies, such as the Mexican-American War and the institution of slavery. Because the government serves the ruling class rather than the will of the people, Thoreau famously asserts that citizens must prioritize their individual moral conscience and refuse to allow themselves to be agents or cogs of that injustice. Okay, so if you have gone through the essay, Civil Disobedience, all these questions will be super easy for you. Right, very good. In the play Dance Like a Man, Mahesh Dattani effectively employs a specific dramatic device to juxtapose the past and the present on the stage. What is this technique? What technique does he use? He uses the technique of flashbacks and overlapping scenes. Flashbacks and overlapping scenes to juxtapose the past and the present on the stage. Correct. Next. Which character utters the following lines to Jairaj in Dance Like a Man? Who says this to Jairaj in the play? Your father was right. Dance has brought us now here. It's his curse. Who says this to Jairaj in the play Dance Like a Man? These lines were uttered by Ratna. Ratna to Jairaj in the play Dance Like a Man by Mahesh Dattani. All right, clear? So that's all from our side for tonight. I really hope you guys love the session and like the questions. If yes, please do like this video. And it's weekend already, so do have a lovely weekend. I will see you all again on Monday at 9:30 p.m. with more questions from your MPPSC syllabus. Till then, please take care, keep studying. And yes, if you want guidance for any exam, any topic, be it maths or English, that is our subject area, English, you can just come to us. Okay? Any exam, anything, just come to us. Okay? Right. So with that being said, please take care. Please study well. Okay? And see you again on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Right. Good night.